Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mindful Session. My name is Unisa Kamara. I'm the host of the show. Now, normally when I'm on here, I have this gentleman that sat next to me. Unfortunately, David is not with us today. He's a bit under the weather. So I would appreciate it if we can all just give him that support, put your comments on, onto the link, and just let's, lift up his spirit. But even though he's not here with us physically, he's with us. How do you call it again?
Spiritually.
Not spiritually, meaning online. I know there's
virtually.
Virtually. So he's with us virtually. So today, David say I have someone else to take over your role. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce a very close friend of mine. In fact, I'll let him introduce himself. Dennis. Dennis, welcome to the platform.
First of all, Unisa, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here at AMAZE TV, here at Mindful Sessions. And yeah, it's just a shame that Dave is not here to join us, but it's really an honor to be here.
Well, it's an honor having you. So, Dennis, you're quite a busy man.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about who Dennis is as an individual.
Okay, so when people ask me that question, the first thing that I mention to them is that I'm the founder of Psychreg. So Psychreg is an online magazine with a focus on psychology, mental health, and wellness. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. I run this online magazine. And on top of that, I also host conferences, and I'm also an author. And when I still have some spare time, I focus on my dissertation because right now I'm also a PhD student.
PhD. So how do you get, okay, let's just go back. Being that you bought Psychreg. So initially, just like you and I were talking, you started off blogging in 2014? No, you created Psychreg in 2014.
Yes.
You started blogging in 2008 as a traveler.
Yeah.
And you transitioned that into mental health. Explain that to us.
Yeah, so basically, I was born in the 80s, so way back then there was no internet, but I always have a passion of expressing myself through writing, and I still have my journal as a kid. And then when I was at university, there was already that thing called the internet, and blogging at that time is starting to emerge, and so I realized that you could actually publicize your thoughts, publicize the way you express yourself, and that's where I started blogging. But initially, it was just a personal blog. When I say a personal blog, it's just basically a platform for me to share my experiences, my thoughts. On my younger days, I was a bit political. I have strong opinions about politics. And then later on, I moved into a travel blog, like what you've said, in 2008. So when I was in my 20s, I was doing a bit of solo traveling. I've traveled Southeast Asia on my own. So it was just, I just used my blog as a platform to share my travel experiences, just to give people an idea on how it is to go to, let's say, Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam. And then in 2013, I started doing my master's degree in psychology. So I thought I should really find a way to link my passion, which is blogging, into my academic background, which is psychology and mental health. And so that's where the idea of doing Psychreg came about.
Okay. Yeah, because I was quite impressed, ladies and gentlemen, going through, your profile. Let me just take the time to talk about Dennis. And Dennis is someone that is quite busy. He has a passion for someone to basically do something, think out the box. Because according to what I've read, he created Psychreg in 2014. And when he created 2014, he created Psychreg. He was the first one that ever created such a platform. There are so many platforms out there, but he literally stepped out the box and created Psychreg, where he's able to put psychological thoughts out there, and also he was able to bring theories alive through his own, awareness, through his own understanding, putting it in layman's terms where other people that are not psych aware are able to, understand what psychology is about. So this is a gentleman that just decided I needed to do something different. I needed to write about psychology to make people understand. Expand on that for us.
Yes, you eloquently put it, what really drove me to launch Psychreg. So basically, when we talk about psychology, sometimes it could sound arcane, it could sound esoteric, but you're right that people should have a free access to psychological sources, and that's actually what drove me to launch Psychreg. I want a psychological platform which presents psychology in an easily digestible manner. I am first in respect that I don't know of any, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know of any website which has a podcast, an open access journal, and host an events. Surely you've heard of a number of psychology websites, but I don't think there are websites which try to do all those sorts of things. So yeah, that's one thing that I really try to establish in Psychreg, to make psychology more accessible to the general public.
Wow, that's excellent. Excellent, initiative. Now let's just go back. The time you came up with Psychreg, you're doing your master's, and now you're about to go back to school to get your PhD. What drives you? What's your passion? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Because we all have objectives, we all have visions, we all have goals. So what's your overall goal?
My overall goal is to provide an evidence base in promoting resilience through blogging. So essentially, that's my research project. I'm looking whether we could use blog as a tool to help adolescents in low and middle income countries to promote the levels of resilience. I did not decide to go to university to do a PhD because I want to be an academic, but I just want to create an evidence-based blogging intervention. So that's my primary motivation for doing a PhD. And also, I want to encourage adolescents, especially adolescents in developing countries, to promote resilience, to be gritty, to be motivated in life, because these two, they played a significant role in my life. Resilience, being motivated. Yes.
Okay, well, being that you opened that door, basically what we do on this platform is that we ask our viewers, to interact, to tell us what it is that they want us to expand on the next show. And this young lady, I do apologize, but we'll put her name down the chat later. I did not ask her if it was okay for me to say her name. She said she wanted us to talk about empathy. And being that you're talking about resilience and all of this, empathy is somewhat associated in that realm, correct?
Yeah.
So let's talk about empathy a little bit. Empathy started, I think, in 1908 in Germany. And at that time, empathy was not used as a human support base. It was used for like mountains, for us to show our appreciation and compassion towards material things. So what can you tell us about empathy?
So empathy it's part of what we call a subfield in psychology, which is positive psychology. So basically, it's the idea that you don't just sympathize, which is, when you sympathize, you acknowledge the challenging aspect of a life adversity. You understand that it's difficult to be in that situation, but when you empathize, you try to acknowledge that it's not just difficult, but you're actually putting yourself in that situation. Like, how would you feel if you were in that situation? So, in a nutshell, that's what we mean by empathy. And it is related to resilience, because if you could actually empathize with people who have experienced threatening life conditions, that would encourage you to be more resilient. Say, for instance, we don't know how it is during the war, because none of us were alive during those times. But if you could empathize how difficult it is, how challenging it is to live during war times, that would encourage you to be more grateful, to be more appreciative of what we actually enjoy right now. Freedom of expression, that's one thing that they don't have during the war. So that's my idea about sympathy, empathy, and how it connects with resilience.
Okay. Well, everything that is going on right now with this COVID crisis, and also a lot of people at home, domestic abuse and all that. How can we show empathy, or people at home, for them to see the empathy in within them, that they'll be able to support any individual that is going through such pain, such withdrawal, such distress?
Unisa, that's a very relevant question, because like what you've said, we really live in unprecedented times. I know it sounds like a cliche to describe this situation that we're in, but I think we have to acknowledge that, you know, some people were not so fortunate because they suffered from COVID-19. And so I think the way to empathize with us is just to look after ourselves, just to be healthy, so that we don't become, you know, we don't transmit the virus. Otherwise, we would just be in, you know, an extended lockdown all the time, and we don't want that. And another thing that we have to realize is that we have to follow the government measures, the measures that the government is telling us to do, because ultimately it's for us, it's for our own safety, especially for the children. Well, we're lucky, because I would realize we're about the same age. You know, back in the day, back in the 80s, there's no such thing as lockdown. There's no such thing as COVID-19. We're just free to, you know, play on the streets. And right now, I'm just thinking of the children, because whether you say it's just 1 year or 2 years, it has a significant impact on their development. And that if you could just put your situation there, like I've been a child once, and how I know how, you know, how play, you know, going out, meeting my friends is a significant part of growing up. So that's one thing that, you know, I could integrate empathy within the larger conversation of COVID-19 and the lockdown measures.
Okay. Because my thing that I want a lot of our viewers to understand is, when it comes to empathy, is of giving yourself. Let's get the proper understanding of what empathy is and what sympathy is. We cannot put sympathy into place and thinking we're helping someone. When you sympathize with someone and when you give empathy, it's the compassion, you know, in within that. So I just want us to understand, but we will continue to touch upon this. But let's go back to you, Dennis. So you're writing a book.
Yes, this is actually my second book. My first book is a collection of essays about mental health.
Okay.
So that went out, that was published last year, and right now I'm publishing. My next book is coming out actually in about a week's time. So it's called. Thank you. It's about educational psychology, because before I was a blogger, I was also teaching. I was a lecturer. I was teaching about psychology. So I thought of writing a book, like how we could actually harness education to make things interesting for students, not just students who are doing psychology, but for anyone. So that's my book. It's called Educational Technology.
Please look out for this book, because this gentleman, when he asked me to write something for Psychreg, I wrote it, I sent it to him. The way he formatted it was very, very impressive. So I cannot wait to have a read of this book. And also, if we look at it, a lot of these schools now are trying to use the Montessori type of teaching, and which indeed is also good for these kids growing up because it lets them, it gives them the opportunity to play and learn.
Exactly.
You know, so I think that's a very good thing. Now, talking about you, let's go to your advisory board, Global Academic Research Institute. Am I correct?
Yes.
Tell us how that came about.
Okay, so Global Academic Research Institute is a voluntary organization of researchers in different countries. So I also, because there's also a research component on what I do, so it's not just blogging, but I also run a journal. And so that's how I came to meet this network of people. They're based in Sri Lanka and Mauritius. So I was invited to be part of the academic board just to support the research aspect of what they do. So that's GARI, Global Academic Research Institute.
And you are Global Goodwill Ambassador. That's quite a huge title.
Yeah.
It's quite big. Global Goodwill Ambassador.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Global Goodwill Ambassador, it's an American-based networking group. So they're trying to promote goodwill, and they're trying to promote how you can actually help other people achieve what was their dream, and that's quite close to my heart because a lot of people also helped me when I was growing up. So I want to share the same thing to people, to adolescents who might have, who might be experiencing the same thing that I've experienced before growing up.
That's good. So while you're being the Global Goodwill Ambassador, are you initiating anything about empathy into the world as to what is going on? Because there are so many people suffering around the world, and a lot of people don't know how to support them. They feel as though by showing them sympathy, it's a way of support. As to say, when we lose someone, we tend to say, well, I did not call you because I didn't know what to say to you. And I always say it's better to be there just on the phone than not to be there. Because that person might just want to talk or might just need that kind of support, someone being there. It's better to be there than not to be there. It's better for you to tell someone, I'm here for you. If you need to talk, if you need anything. That's giving a little empathy. That's being a little bit supportive. So how are you, inserting this empathy into your role as global, Goodwill Ambassador?
The way I try to incorporate empathy with what I do is I just publish a range of mental health stories, and like what you've said, you contributed an article because there are some things that I'm not really familiar about. So that's why I invite people such as yourself who have better, range of experience, so they can talk about a range of human conditions. So that's one thing that I try to extend work about empathy. Essentially what I'm saying is that when people become aware of other people's stories, other people's struggles, it helps them to have a bit more empathy with how they live their life. Just like you, Unisa, you have a very inspirational, powerful story.
Thank you.
And when people get to become aware,
I like him already.
yeah. You. When people become aware of what you've been through as a person, as a mental health advocate, that makes them realize that you have to be more empathetic with other people's struggles and their lived experience. So I'm very honored and I'm very grateful for people who choose Psychreg to be a platform to share their stories. And it's not just about sharing stories. Essentially, you're helping people to be more grateful, be more empathic.
I like that. Well, let's just jump back into your not little life, because this man, as you can hear, He's quite busy. He's like a serial entrepreneur that he's not chasing what other people are chasing. He's literally taking his own lane as to making a difference. And this is someone we need to support because at such a young age, he noticed, he picked up on things that were a lot of people were not picking up on. He decided to do his blogging, you know, in 2004, and he carried on. And as he was on that journey, he picked up, as to say, psychology is something that is needed in this world. And he decided to start expanding on the different elements of psychology, and he created Psychreg. And he was not, well, he is satisfied, but he's still finding ways of helping the human race. This is someone you call fit for purpose. And when you're fit for purpose, you are a thinker, a forward thinker. You take yourself out of the equation and look for solutions. He came up with the company I call ISP, International Society of Psychology.
Yeah.
ISP. Tell us about ISP.
Yeah, so it's not just ISP, so that P is psychology, and then I also added counseling and education. So it's the International Society of Psychology, Counseling and Education.
Okay.
So what I do is I try to offer a platform for psychologists, counselors, and educators to network. It started in 2018 when I launched my first conference in the Philippines. It's basically we do organize an annual event to present the latest research. It's mostly geared for PhD students and master students, and even the lecturers and the academics and the practitioners. Yeah, so yeah, that's what ISPCE is.
Okay. So you said it's for networking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only for professionals, or is it individuals that are unaware, psychologically unaware? Because a lot of people, I have to come back to me. I am a youth advocate, and I believe that these youths are the future of our future generations to come. So we need to support them to the best of our ability. And there are a lot of organizations out there that are helping, doing the best that they can in supporting these youths. So is this organization that you created, are they able to interact with, the professionals that you work with, and are they able to support these charities, these organizations?
I understand there are some people who might be interested to explore more about psychology, but unfortunately, right now, ISPC is not for those individuals who want to learn more about psychology. So ISPCE is for those who have already sort of have gained basic familiarity about psychology. So it could be in the form of being a psychology student, or being on your early career as a researcher. But to answer your question, if you want to gain more about psychology, so that's Psychreg for that.
Okay.
So anyone who's not familiar about psychology as a science, you can read articles, a range of mental health stories, including your story, news releases about psychology, and also articles written by academics. So I tried to create two different platforms to cater to specific needs.
Okay.
So Psychreg it's not really an organization, but it's just simply a magazine to make psychology and mental health accessible to the general public, whereas ISPCE is geared towards individual who kind of like already gained a certain level of familiarity about psychology.
Well, thank you for enlightening us in that. As I stated, this gentleman is a forward thinker, and I can see him on our future event that we're going to do. But how do you think we can start this initiative of support towards people that don't understand the actual essence, I should say, of empathy. How do you think we can start such an, initiative? Because sometimes when you talk to people, there's a lack of understanding. So how can we make it a global, because you are the global, goodwill ambassador, so I have to ask you this. How can we make it global?
We don't really have to come up with specific interventions to promote empathy. I know there's specific interventions for that, but in the absence of those, just talking about this, just like what you're doing here at Mindful Sessions, that is already a good thing in itself. Because the more we talk about it, we're actually spreading the conversations about the need for empathy. And it's really, I really appreciate the person who suggested this topic, because this is really relevant to what we've been experiencing. And this is the time that we really need more empathy. So yeah, just to address your questions, it's just all about, trying to talk about it, and then especially to the younger generations, if we instill to them the value of empathy. I know a lot of people who are watching AMAZE TV, their parents themselves, so if you try to inculcate it to your children, that's already a good thing in itself.
And as I've stated during the beginning of the show, you're quite an amazing young man. You have achieved so much, and also congratulations on your wedding, which indeed I didn't get an invite, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
Dennis got married, they invite me, so
Yeah,
but congratulations on
thank
that.
you.
You want to expand on that? Is there anything you want to say in reference to that?
That was 2014, so we haven't met yet. Our paths did not
I
yet
was in your
cross.
life, you just didn't see me.
Yeah. So that was 2014. I'll just take you to the earlier trajectory of my life. So I came here in 2013 as an international student to do a master's degree. And while I was doing my master's degree, I have a friend who introduced me to this lovely gentleman who is now my husband. And so we've been happily married since 2014. Graham, if you're watching this, I'm being interviewed by Unisa, and I just gave you a shout out.
And one thing that I wanted to point out is happiness is the key. Our preferences are our preferences. We all strive towards happiness. The only thing I can advise anyone out there who is in a relationship, who is thinking about getting married, make sure that the person that you are with is compatible to you. Understand that when you say I'm in a relationship, it's a merger. Two people coming together from two different backgrounds, two different upbringing. So it's not you losing yourself. It's just you toning down to accommodate that person, and that person is going to accommodate you. You have to have that friendship, communication, respect of each other. If you do not have respect for each other, you cannot build a communication. If you don't have that communication, it's hard to build friendship. And without that friendship, before anything, I always tell people, you spend so much time trying to get to know somebody to build a relationship. And as soon as something goes wrong, you want to deviate, run away from the situation. What's your input on that? How can we show a little bit empathy into each other to be able to resolve a situation in a relationship?
That's a lovely metaphor that you put in there, Unisa. You mentioned about two individuals being complementary with each other, and that reminds me of what I used to play as a kid, the jigsaw puzzle. And I think that's an appropriate metaphor to describe two individuals who decided to spend their lives with each other. And basically, you do have your own sets of strengths, you do have your sets of weaknesses, and hopefully the other person could, fill in the gap with those strengths and weaknesses. And I'd like to echo what you said, because you brilliantly put it, that you have to acknowledge your differences in order to make that relationship flourish and thrive. I'm still an early part of my relationship. We only had civil partnership in 2014, so we've been living for less than 10 years, and in that span of time, we've encountered so many challenges, as you know, any people in marriage or civil partnership could imagine. And also, you touch upon something really crucial, because my husband is he's English, he's white English, and obviously I'm born from a different country, so there are a lot of things that culturally seems to be, you know, different, but I'm quite grateful for his family, because his family is very open. They really treat me as like one of the family members. And I suppose that's one thing, you know, when we talk about these things, about things that are important to us, such as, you know, relationship with family or with a significant other. That's one thing that people could empathize with, and which just brings us to what we're talking about, empathy, and the very, you know, the very essential components of, you know, our life, our aspirations. That just triggers something to people, and they learn to empathize.
As Dennis said, different cultures sometimes can be a barrier in a relationship. If we all think about it, at the end of the day, you say, oh, what's his race? Oh, he's black. Oh, he's this. But what is race? It's only the human race. What is pain? Pain is something we all feel, we all go through in various ways. So, and if I sit here, as I told David, I cut you, you're going to bleed red, and vice versa, and I will feel pain, so will you. So the essence of a lot of these things is just being humane, understanding culture don't make us any better than the next. We're all human at the end of the day. So all that you just put on the side and look at the individual for who they are, value them, because I'm sure they will become, I don't want to say entity, but they can become a great part, you know, contribution into your life and moving forward. So let me just talk. This man has received so many awards. You want to expand on your awards?
My award basically is on the blogging sector, because that's where I belong. So I've been I won the Blogger of the Year award at Mental Health Blog Awards, but unfortunately this year I'm no longer qualified to win the award, because I'm sitting as part of the board. Board. So it will be quite
biased.
It will be quite biased if I actually get to win the award. Yeah, I'm just grateful for the people who appreciate what I do, and so they nominate me for an award and they vote for me. It's usually done through online voting, so I'm really grateful for the people who support Psychreg. Yeah, and it's not really my award, because a lot of the articles that are published on Psychreg are not mine. So essentially what I've done is just create a platform to share their stories, and if you know, if people feel that somehow they've learned something, it changed the way they see about mental health, then I think I somehow have accomplished something. I would somehow, you know, leave a legacy in the field of mental health. So it's not just really about an award, but it's nice to feel, you know, being validated somehow, that, you know, you're doing a bit of a contribution to the sector.
And being that you don't want to bring up your podcast, Psychreg is not just a magazine. This gentleman goes beyond and bring professionals onto his platform, people like me, who I tell my story over and over, and he and I spoke. He was like, let's share your story, let's bring it to light, let's see, you know, the impact that can create. Tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, so it's it's hosted on YouTube, so it's called the DRH Show, which is part of the Psychreg channel. And like what I've said, I do have wide-ranging conversations with different people, and you were I'm so privileged to have you on the DRH show.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, so you shared your story. So basically, I talked to different people, people who's got formal background with psychology, or people who've got really inspirational life experience when it comes to mental health, and talk about their advocacy. So to date, I think I've already interviewed about 100 people.
Wow,
and,
congratulations. Well
thank
done.
you. And I'm really happy for people who always want to be on the show. And yeah, just like what you've said, they add a certain element, not only to the show, but they somehow give give you a different perspective about mental health, about just living a more positive life. Rather. So that's one thing that I do appreciate when I talk to different people. Yeah.
So you have a conference coming up as well.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So I organize different conferences. Actually, your co-host, Dave Sleet, he was my speaker in Malaysia about 3 years ago with his partner, Vonnie. Yeah, so that's what I do. But right now, because of the COVID-19, as much as really, because I really like hosting live events. I don't like something done virtually, but I don't have choice at the moment, so we'll just do it over Zoom. But hopefully, in who knows, maybe next year, we will be a lot freer, so I can, host a physical event again. But yes, so the event is called ICPCE 2021. So it will be the third annual event of ICPCE. And it's open to everyone who's interested about psychology, mental health, and wellness. And if I could just plug it very quickly, so just Google ICPCE 2021, and it will take you to a conference website. Okay. And I'm pleased to share that a keynote will be delivered by the president of the British Psychological Society, Professor Nigel McLennan, and we do have a range of speakers. And we're also trying to have a panel talk about resilience. Hopefully a panel talk, it's not yet confirmed, but we're planning to have a panel talk of people from India and people from Malaysia and Thailand. So it will be an interesting discussions about culture, about psychology, and about mental health.
Wow. Well, we will try to put this into the group later on. And also, when we put this out there, you can interact with Dennis. And before we get off the show, Dennis will give you the websites in case you want to check out the Psychreg. The platform is wonderful. It's quite informative, and it's not just having to go and read. You can also watch videos and gain something quite informative. The essence of life is growth. And the way we grow is learning from each other's experiences. Now, I do understand there are different elements of learning, but one thing I can say is that many of us are more visual, so when we watch something, we gain something. So go on his platform, ladies and gentlemen. I guarantee you, I promise you, you will not walk away without gaining something positive. Again, Dennis, tell us the overall future goals now. What is it? Where can we see Dennis? I don't want to say the 5-year term. That's too long. Let's say 3 years.
3 years. I'm quite ambitious, and I'm quite specific with my goal. Ultimately, my long-term goal is to be one of the top 10 most visited psychology website in the world. I know it will take me a long time to get there, but my short-term goal within 3 years is to get about like 500 visits in a month on my website. Right now, I'm already at 300,000 monthly visits.
Wow.
Yeah, so your article that you wrote that has been read by approximately 300,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, it's my pleasure. Yeah, so that's my goal. If I reach 500,000 within 3 years, I'll be happy with that. And
Okay, so why don't you give us the website?
yeah, so it's psychreg.org, www.psychreg.org.
Excellent. So that's your long-term goal.
Mhm.
So what is the short-term goal?
The short-term goal is to finish my PhD on time. I just started last year, so I've got 3 more years to finish it.
Well, congratulations in taking that step. Let me just say, I applaud you.
And another is I want to see my parents this year, because I always make it a point to see my family at least once a year. They're all based in the Philippines, but obviously because last year there were so many travel restrictions, I didn't get to see my parents. So hopefully this year, as soon as the lockdown has been eased down, I'll be able to fly to Philippines and, you know, take advantage of those what you call it, deals, flight deals. Yeah,
Okay.
because I
The
would imagine,
perks.
yeah, because I would imagine when the lockdown is has been eased down, a lot of this, company would be, craving for passengers to
Yeah, they
fly.
give them packages.
Yeah, I hope so.
Let's keep fingers crossed on that. But Dennis, I cannot agree with you like anymore because family is very important.
Mm.
There's family unity, and I'm the only one here as well without my family. They're all in America,
Mhm.
so I do feel, the longing, the essence.
You empathize with me.
Empathy, see? There we go. So I do empathize with you. I'm not going to say I understand what you're going through,
Hmm.
but I have an idea of what you're going through.
Hmm.
And which in that kind of take it off empathy a little bit. But yeah, I applaud you for reaching out to your family, because we gain our blessings
Hmm.
from our parents. So you being that supportive, missing home, missing, your dad, it's a wonderful feeling.
And I miss the food as well. You know it when you're born from a specific country, even though you try to integrate, there's something about the food that you used to that you miss.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When I brought my husband to Philippines, he's been to Philippines 3 times. He couldn't stand our food. He said it's too salty because the Filipino food is salty, and we do lots of deep frying. Yeah, but that's one thing I miss, aside from, of course, from my family, the food and the traffic. Yeah.
You brought the traffic into, but let's talk about the food for a minute.
Yeah.
Salt is not good for us.
No, I know
But,
it's not good.
but our bodies become so accustomed to the essence, the environment,
Mhm.
that a lot of people, I'm going to assume, back home,
Mhm.
are not, their body's not, their body's more, resilient
Mhm.
to the salt. Is
Mhm.
that a fact?
Yeah, it's known that a lot of Filipino people die of high cholesterol and high
High
blood
blood
pressure.
pressure.
And it's mainly because of the diet. Yeah, it's not really good. We do have a low mortality rate in the Philippines, mainly because of the diet. But I try to be sensible when I go to Philippines. I try to stay away from salty foods. Yeah.
That's good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the show is almost coming to an end, and I know a lot of you are commenting below. But we'll get to that, and Dennis will also respond to it. So if you want to contact Dennis, Dennis has his website that he's going to give us. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, regardless how busy we are, we have to make time for each other. We have to try to understand each other. We are social beings. We are creatures that crave for companionship. You are not alone in whatever you are going through. If you think you need help, reach out for a professional. We are trying in so many different ways to support you to the best of our ability. And Dennis is one of those people that is trying to support you as well. Check out his websites, check out what he's about, reach out to him. See how, you two can corroborate into something. We are all accessible to each other. It is us that is making it difficult to make it impossible. But what is impossible? There's no such thing as impossible. If you take that I am, it makes it I am possible. So you are possible. You have it in you to achieve whatever you want. Show compassion towards your neighbor, your wife, your children, people that you meet. Give them a smile when they don't even want to smile at you. But believe you me, it will resonate. Ask someone how you're doing. Don't just ask them to say, how are you doing, because you feel like though you need to say it. Ask because it's coming within. It's sincere. It's pure. And that person, when you take your time to say, how you doing? How's everything? Build relationship with each other. Dennis, as we come into the end of the show, I like to talk, Dennis. You can see.
You're in the right business. Yeah.
So is there anything you want to say to our viewers?
Yeah, first, it's been a pleasure being here on Mindful Sessions here on AMAZE TV. You're doing wonderful stuff to spread awareness about positivity, about being mindful. And I'd like to congratulate you for doing this initiative. And secondly, it's like what Unisa said, do visit my website, www.psychreg.org, and just Google ICPC 2021 if you are interested about attending a virtual conference.
And Psychreg is spelled P-S-Y-C-H-R-E-G.
Yeah.
Psychreg.
Psychreg.
Check it. We have an event coming up on Saturday, today, at 7 p.m. We're going to stream it through AMAZE Television. It's going to be streamed in America, different TV station, and also India. Get involved. We have started a movement called Fit for Purpose. Our objective is to save our future generation. We have multiple speakers on these platforms from various backgrounds. Go to Eventbrite, get your ticket. It's a free ticket. The essence of what we're doing is to network and support each other, just like Dennis does. We need to build a stronger front. And the best way we can build that front is by working together. No one is strong alone. But when you unify, it creates such a bigger, stronger, and stronger front. We are not shooting for perfection. We know perfection is a moving target. But we are trying to create something great. And we cannot do this without you. We cannot do this without the person you are and within you. Have in mind, this physical, it's only a vessel. The spirit is craving for something else. If you don't intrigue your mind mentally, ask yourself questions. When the mind is happy, you are happy, the spirit is happy, you're happy to smile. And that smile can support other people. So, Dennis, I just want to say it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I kind of enjoy when David is not here.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm sure your co-host will be back very soon because it's lovely talking to you. You've got such a charisma, and you can really feel you being genuine about your advocacy.
Well, I thank you, Dennis. You are a young man that I sincerely admire, and I know you and we have projects coming down the line. So it's going to be a great pleasure getting to know you more. You spreading your vision, your hopes, and your expectations on our platform as well. So I want to thank you. As we come to an end, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm grateful for Dennis taking time out of his busy schedule to be here with us. We cannot ask for anything more than to have like-minded individual on our platform. So we are grateful and we appreciate him, and I am so honored if some of you, many of you, all of you will check out what he's about. If you cannot find his website, just Google him. The internet is now at our fingertips. Google him, locate him, contact him, and start something great. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. I bid you a good night. I bid you a good day wherever you are in the world. And I say again, I'm grateful. If there's a show that you're interested in, you have any concern that you want us to expand on, please leave it in the comment below. Please email me. Many of you know unisakamara@unisakamara.com. I am accessible. I cannot give you David's information because he's not here. So let's pretend like he's a ghost.
Yeah.
So is there an email address or a website that you want to give us? We say goodbye.
Yeah, so again, that's www.psychreg.org. So that's psychreg.org. So everything is there, including conference detail. And please do have a read about the range of articles that we publish in Psychreg. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. May God be with you all, bless you through your journey, and I wish you a blissful journey on this earth. Have a good night.